Good morning, folks. Just letting people into the room. Hope you're all doing well. You can hear me loud and clear. Who have we got that's new in here this week? Kelly's new in here this week. How are you doing, Kelly?
Hi, doing good. Thank you. Happy
Good.
to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here as well. So actually, there's a few people in this room that I'm going to connect you with that I think would have a lot to talk about. Micah being one, Blake being another one. And then there's a few others as well, but I'll explain why in a minute. Kelly's a little different. She does, to some of you who are on the ground operators, Kelly does multi-day trips to various destinations. So just did an awesome trip to Egypt, has got something upcoming to Jordan, but there'd be definitely scope to partner with people in this room to run multi-day trips. And Micah, I know Micah runs awesome food tours down in Mexico. So, and she's in the process of getting some multi-day experiences going. So that's an obvious one. I'm sure you guys have plenty to discuss. We could talk about how that may work. You know, it all starts with a chat, you know, to see if there's some synergy. Blake is another one. He's got some really exciting plans for some kind of spiritual themed experiences, some really unique stuff in various corners of the world that he's in the development stage of. So yeah, some really great discussions that you guys could have there. But Micah, I might even kick it off with you. Micah does obviously great food tours. We've been talking about down the line, and I think you should expedite, is that a word? Fast track your multi-day trips, because, you know, even based off some of the things we've talked about, some of the things I shared with you last week, you know, you're going to be able to fast track your business significantly by offering some great experiences at a better price point, rather than grinding your way through the gears at selling $45, $50 food tours. And you're aware of that. Jump in at any stage. I'll tackle your question in a second, but if there's anything that you want to comment on or you disagree with, let me know. So we've talked about that. I'm sure you agree with that. And you know, from the platform you've got, that's entirely possible. I feel like there's some mindset challenges. I think there's a little bit of doubt about your ability to deliver an amazing experience and command those prices. But we can talk about that. Again, you might disagree with that. That's what I feel shines through from time to time. So I showed you last week, and we'll get to your question, but I think it'd be useful. And a lot of you saw these last week, but I thought it'd be useful to share with you last week these experiences that I created when I created my outbound multi-day trips to Spain. How experiential, how cool, how amazing, how unique, exclusive, discerning, and the types of experiences that I loaded into them. You know, have a look at the highlights here. Unravel the seductive secrets of Seville. Private dinner parties on rooftops hosted by Michelin star chefs. Hidden tapas bars. Stunning private lodges preparing feasts with a celebrity chef. You know, getting swept away with local flamenco musicians and Andalusian gypsies, blah, 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 blah. So an amazing trip. We learned that it was going to be a hell of a lot more appealing, a hell of a lot easier to sell, and a hell of a lot more expensive a price point if we could partner with someone that could bring something to the table with us and complement what we offered. So we partnered with a guy called Frank Camora. If you're not in Australia, you may not know him. He's a really well-renowned Australian chef. He's a restaurateur. He's got profile. He's done the master chefs and all those. So he's a good buddy of ours, and he was happy to partner with us. And some of you who might doubt your ability to encourage someone to work with you, everyone's different. You might have someone with the biggest profile in the world who says, oh, hell yeah, as Frank did, I'm going to do that stuff every year by myself anyway, because I just love to be in the coalface, you know, like in the destination, learning about new things, meeting new people, exploring new techniques, learning about new wines, all those kind of things. So I'm going to be doing this trip off my own, out of my own pocket anyway. So absolutely, it's great for my profile. It's great for my restaurants. It's a win-win-win, and I'll do it very affordably. You might get like a lower someone with lower profile who's a bit precious, who says, no, I'm not going to, no, I'm not interested in doing that. Or, yeah, I'll do it for $30,000, some obscene amount. And you're like, well, I don't want to work with you, So you never know until you ask the questions about, and the value of partnering with someone. So, if you read through these descriptions, you'll see that now Suze Healy, Suze is my wife. So she's the real foodie. She's the passionate lover of all things Spanish. So, and she was the one that had her finger on the pulse in Melbourne's, food and wine scene. Me, I was probably less so. So she was the driving force. She was the one who co-hosted the trip. I was just in the back end, doing all the eating and drinking, but anyway, so that worked beautifully. Now, it allowed us to charge a hell of a lot more. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we talked about it a bit last week. Without Frank, we probably would have commanded maybe $6 or $7 grand for the trip. With Frank, it was considerably more. Okay. Now, what did that do for our ability to sell it? I just completely expanded our sales channels. So the sales channels that we had were our existing audience, the list that we'd built. We had a corporate events business that we were serving high-end corporate Melbourne, running team building, reward and recognition trips in their corporation. So all these people had needs and interest in food and wine and overseas travel. So it was a logical connection for them to be interested in stuff that we were doing that they could do in their leisure time and in their holidays with friends and family. So that was a win. We were looking after a lot of international guests in Australia from various international markets, the US being the main one. So all of those high-end Americans that we were looking after in Australia, they followed us to Spain. Okay. They're like, well, you guys can deliver in Australia. You've got a really great brand. You're seamless. Absolutely. We've got a good connection with you. We'll follow you. We'll do what you're doing with you in Spain. So that was that. And then we obviously had Frank, his networks, his through his restaurants. And it was just such an easy sell for him. People that just ate in his restaurants, multiple times every year. They loved him. They loved his food, and so they would follow him and take a trip that he was involved in. And then PR. It was like, to send out press releases to a bunch of different travel publications. We just sold ticket after ticket and got expression of interest after expression of interest. So anyway, so I'm sure you are seeing how the benefits outweigh, like just how it's immensely beneficial to partner with someone with profile and authority to run a really premium priced multi-day outbound trip. So Mikey, your question was, I'll just see if I can grab it up here. Okay. I've got your email here. But anyway, your question was, how do I get, let me get that email, the other email. Is it here? Oh yeah, okay. So you've got this chef who you look, don't worry, he's an American-based chef that does Mexican, he's got Mexican restaurants. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And he's the first one that you've identified as someone that you might want to partner with.
Because he lives, if not full-time, most of the year he lives in Mazatlan, so he would be an easy connection.
Yeah.
And he's on TV shows and he has a Mexican cookbook, and it would be for me easier. Places that I go to is places that he shops at, so they have part of my vendors who said, hey, you would be a good match. Have you met him? And I haven't met him, surprisingly, but then he would be a good fit, I would say.
Great. Okay. So it's a logical, now there would be 100 potential partners in the US. I'm just throwing a number out there. Really renowned, excellent chefs with a focus on or a passion for Mexican food that you could partner with, that would have profile, who would have a loyal following, that would be about to partner with. But he sounds like a really great fit. So your question really was, how do I get him to work with me? Is that the question? Well, again, it's a mindset thing. Like, straight off the bat, the way you should approach it is, why would you not want to work with me? Because you are at the pinnacle of Mexican food experiences, and you've got the awards to back that up. You're in the top 1% of food experiences in the world. Is that correct? Why would he not want to work with you? And so you're giving him an opportunity to partner with you. You can spell out, if he's a smart guy, he'll identify the benefits straight away. Okay. If there's reluctance, it starts with a chat, just like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. We've got some great things going on down here in Mazatlan, as you probably may or may not know. I've got some really exciting plans with some multi-day, immersive culinary experiences. I think it'd be a great thing for us to partner. You could bring so much to the table. I could bring so much to the table. Let's have a chat and see how that looks. That would be the first point, without going too deep. I mean, if I was him, like, this sounds interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump on a call. And when you do, it's not him doing you the favor. Okay. The benefits to him could be immense, would be immense. And, the obvious ones that it increases his profile significantly. It allows him to make some deeper connections with some of those suppliers, artisans, whatever on the ground there in Mazatlan. It allows him to serve all those loyal customers that's to bring greater profile to his restaurant. Win, 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 win. Okay. So anyway, that's where I would start with it. Okay. And remember, why wouldn't he want to work with you? Okay. Any questions on that?
Well, my question would be, since my operation as of now is just 1-day tours, and I mean, I can't boast a whole lot of experience on multi-day tours, even though I don't think it's something that is impossible to do, because that's what I do with my family anyway. Try to look for different kind of experiences that are, immersive.
Yep.
But then, I don't know how much of it I can boast on doing multi-day tours if I haven't done any. Or, how would
Again,
or wouldn't I wouldn't even leave the conversation there.
Don't leave it. Don't, just what are you great at? Tell him what you're great at. How hard's a multi-day trip? Let's just piece together some single-day trips. I mean, obviously, sorry, Kelly. I know it's a lot more complicated than that, but you carefully selected accommodation that plays a role in the greater product. Every single component of that multi-day needs to have a reason for being there. In exactly the same way, do you visit suppliers in markets just because they're convenient, or do you hand pick them because they got something special that they can bring to your experience? Okay.
Absolutely.
It's just an extended version of what you do. It takes a lot more planning, a lot more thought. There's seamless, it needs to be a seamless experience. People need a lot more nurturing and looking after when you're running multi-day. It's more taxing, but it is a logical extension. And if you can do and achieve what you've achieved running single day, there is absolutely nothing that is going to stop you. And I would not even, I'm all, my mantra right the way through business is just give yourself problems. Okay. Give yourself problems. Don't put a spotlight on the stuff that you might fall down on. You might not have the requisite experience. Focus on all the stuff, because you listed 5 or 6 things to me the other day. Punch, 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 punch. Why are you so great? Why is Flavorteller such an amazing business? Okay. And you have the recognition, like the industry recognition, to support that. You don't need to shove it down people's face, but you're really, really great. Okay. You are the benchmark for Mexican culinary experiences. And that I'm not trying to make you feel good, like you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Why would someone not want to work with you? Okay.
Yeah.
It should.
Well, okay.
You should be flipping it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and it's definitely a mindset thing. It's not maybe where I would doubt my capacity, but at which point would I then, because obviously there's a pre to this where I'm currently full on in operations, running the tour. So I would have to, I already got somebody on board training them right now. So which is a step, in the right way. Am I there right now to start next week? No, because otherwise I would, default on my existing customers and reservations. But
Yep.
do I get there? Yeah, just
You-
one step at a time.
And one step at a time, and we tackle that problem. When you have that big win, do you think I knew how to run a $12,000 multi-day trip to Spain where I hadn't met 80% of the suppliers? I'd never run a multi-day trip in my life. And we sold it out before it actually landed in destination. Do you think that I was getting myself out of my comfort zone? You just continue to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have big wins, and then you figure out how to deliver, okay? And you don't get it right. It's not going to be perfect the first time, but you're going to learn, you're going to evolve, you're going to learn, you're going to evolve, okay? You get support, you come here and you ask for help and guidance, and ultimately, down the line, it might be the second, the third trip, you dial it in and you nail it, and that's the way. It's not going to be perfect the first time. So that initial outreach, it's calm, it's cool, it's confident. It's just, hey, we should have a chat. I'm sure we've got a lot to talk about. I've got some great plans. I reckon you'd be a really good fit for some of these plans. Let's have a conversation.
What timeline should I give him? So if I would have the conversation, say, okay, how uncomfortable should I put myself? So very uncomfortable, meaning talking about any time relatively soon. What timeline would you suggest?
No, you open up your calendars. You talk about, because if someone's going to book a multi-day trip, Kelly, you want your lead time, you might have some input there. But for me, sorry?
Roughly 6 months for
6
us.
months, exactly. Yeah. So people are going to book a multi-day trip probably 6 months out, sometimes 12 months out, So you would open up your calendars and say, hey, when's a good slot? When are the conditions right in Mazatlan? When's a comfortable time to travel? When do our, so something on shoulder season would generally work. You're not too busy. The weather's quite nice. It's comfortable time. People don't want to be there in the peak of summer. People don't want to be there in the in the depths of winter, whatever. So you just pick a comfortable time. You look at each other's calendars. You figure out, that 2 week, 3 week, or 4 week chunk, that looks pretty good. Why don't we plan a trip there? It's 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line. Once you start selling, you're taking deposit payments. It could be 50%. So you're getting cash running through your business as well. So it aids with cash flow. You're taking deposits a long way out, which is helping you through those slower times of the year as well. So that's where it starts. Like, you talk about what you might do if there's there's a level of interest from you both. You feel like you might be able to deliver a really amazing trip. Okay. You want to come across as supremely confident. And if you get curveball questions, I haven't really considered that yet. Good question. Yeah, I'll put a bit of thought into that. Okay. Rather than, I've never done this before. I don't really know what that's just everyone does something for the first time. That makes sense?
Absolutely. So, starting food tours, I kind of thought of what I thought I would like to see, and then turns out that it worked out really well. So, yes, obviously there's a lot of thought in it, and it depends on how you approach it, or, how you present it. And
one of the things that I always find really good, if I'm in a meeting or an initial, meeting that I'm not 100% comfortable in, ask a lot of questions. Okay. Don't shine the spotlight on you and start talking for the sake of talking. Over to him. So, if we were to do a 2 week trip, what kind of experiences would you like to include in it? Have you got some good connection? Have you got people that you feel would be really great to inject into this trip? Where do you feel like you would like our guests to stay? Okay. What kind of chefs would you like to, have you got some connections on the ground? Question. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that aligns. Yeah, that's in line with what I'm thinking as well. So if you're in an uncomfortable situation, just ask questions. Josh, what did you just say there? You had something very poignant to say, as you normally do in the chat. I found that working with people who see the value of the partnership is so much better than someone who makes out like they're doing you a favor. Exactly right. And people who see the value in a partnership, they might be the greatest chef on the planet, okay? Who they just want to work with you because they see the value that you can both bring to each other. Someone who's 20 steps below them might have this mindset that they're doing you a favor, and that's probably not the relationship or the partnership that you want to go get into. Does that make sense? So you just never know until you start talking to people. This guy might be a bust. He's like, who are you? I don't know. I'm pretty, I can do my own trip. Thanks very much. No, I don't need to do you any favors. I'm pretty cool over here with doing what I'm doing. And that's probably not going to work out. But anyway, so that's, I hope there's some value there. And if you've got any, follow-up questions, just jump in the call later on. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Let me know how that goes. So just starts with a simple outreach, first of all. Tell him why you're so great without blowing your trumpet too much and just say, hey, we should have a chat. I'm sure we've got something to talk about. All right. Cool.
Sounds good. Sounds
question. Good. Matthew, how are you, mate? You had a question here. I'm just, for people who are sort of newish to the calls, Kelly, you'll be one. Generally what we do is people have submitted questions. So I tackle those first and they open up other discussions. Feel free to jump in, anyone that's got some value to add. But yeah, so we'll run through those people that have actually got things that they want me to tackle on the call. Matthew, just one thing, it will help me a lot. It's not a big deal, but if you do have questions, I've had questions this week coming in via email, via Messenger, via WhatsApp. It's easy for me if they just go to the one place, which is in that coaching call link. Okay. It's not a massive deal. I will find them, but it's easy for me just for my processes if they can go into that one that one place. So Matthew, your question was that you sent through via email. How
Facebook.
do you? I was via.
Facebook.
Oh, I was in the group,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
So how do you? I mean, I'm jumping back to like some of the basics in terms of marketing. How do you identify your potential customers' pain points?
Yep.
Okay. What are they?
Okay. We'll talk about it a bit here. I've also got the resources in the program that are going to tackle that specific problem. One of them, I'll just quickly share my screen. You guys would have seen, hold on a second. Where are we? Here. You guys seeing that? Yeah, so that's the that's a lesson from week 3, improving business performance. That's my simple launch method. Okay, so have you seen that, Matthew?
Actually, no, I haven't gone through it because I'm bouncing around through different parts of the program.
Don't worry, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So this lesson is in week 3, improving business performance, the simple launch method. And what the simple launch method is the process that I ran everything through my business, whether I was actually launching a business for the first time back in 2007, whether I was launching a new division of my business. So it was my corporate events division. It was my worldwide journeys outbound division. I had a couple of other things that I did over the journey, like we had a travel representation division, which didn't work out because the work sucked. And then also if I'm launching a new tour or experience, what I tried to do is give myself the best possible guarantee that what I was going to develop and launch was going to sell like crazy. Okay. So I didn't know it at the time, but what I did was create a process, and it started with an idea. So you're back here in the idea phase. Or you've probably gone a little further than that, Matthew. So anyway, that's the video that's going to answer all those questions. The second step is the ideal customer. Okay. How do you actually identify who your ideal customer is? So you'll go through, there's a great exercise there on your creating your customer avatar. Who is your ideal customer? Who is your most represented type of customer in your business? Okay. So a lot of you might have, you might be able to clearly identify who that is. Like, again, sorry, Kelly, for putting the spotlight on you, but you're all about women, women's travel. Okay. So your ideal customer is dialed in. You've got maybe a couple of different, you might have like, mothers and daughters, or you might have over 60s, or, like there's probably a couple of different types of ideal customers, but you're fairly dialed in as to who your ideal customer is. Matthew, you could figure that stuff out through historical, who you've served historically.
Josh, I have gone through this stuff. One very specific thing is, what are the pain points?
Okay. So then you get to the questions. All right. by the pain points, you want to find out, okay, so let's run through this. I'm not going to go through the video, but I'll try to get to, okay, so the research phase. Is this, have you done any research, like customer research?
No, not really.
Okay, so that's where I'd start. Now, people like, it's like nails on a blackboard when you talk about research, okay? Because people want to skip through the research, okay? Because it's boring, it sucks, it's time consuming, and they just want to get to the fun stuff, which is selling shit, okay? So my research phase, I'm a drive forward kind of a guy, okay? I like to sell, I like to develop, I like to get things off the ground. And for me, the greatest, the greatest form of what's the word I'm looking for, guarantee something's going to sell, or reinforcement that my ideas are great ideas, is to get it out there into the world and then assess the response. Okay, so I don't like to bog myself down in research too greatly. All right, so I encourage you guys. Other people might disagree. They might like to spend months in research phase, just being absolutely guaranteed that they're on a winner and it's going to sell like crazy. For me, I would encourage you to do it to your bandwidth, okay? So don't get bogged down too much. Get a pool of your ideal customer, ask them some questions, assess the answers, and move forward based on the answers that you get, okay? Because ultimately, when you actually launch it and you get that first wave of people through that experience, that's when you're going to get your most valuable responses, okay? People are going to come back and they're going to tell you, people who actually paid for it, who pulled their credit card out and paid for it, they're the ones that you're going to get the best feedback from, okay? Not people that you're going to talk to beforehand. But it's really important to do that. So let's say, for example, I use here bachelorette parties. So let's say you've got an experience. There's a few examples in this lesson, Matthew, and I think that if you watch it, a lot of these answers will become clear, but I'll just give you one quick example. So let's say you have an experience that lends itself well to bachelorette parties, okay? Whatever it is, a cooking class or a, whatever bachelorette parties like to do, you know? So what would you do to get some really great customer research to find out that your idea is a really great idea? So you might identify the decision maker. Every one of you out there would know a whole bunch of ladies that has been married. You would have a whole bunch of people that have been responsible for organizing a bachelorette party, okay? So the questions you would ask would be, you would get that decision maker. And these are the kind of things you would ask. What did you do? How long did it run for? You know, because you want to know like the type of most popular types of activities that people are doing. The time frame is really important. Pre-event, you know, between you and me, what was your single greatest desire for the event? And, you know, if you ask someone, you know, if you scratch the surface a little bit, so you might ask someone for the first time and they might be like, oh, you know, I just wanted everyone to have fun, you know, but if you actually dig a little deeper, there might be some really selfish desires. You know what? Well, look, I just wanted something, you know, I'm desperate for my best friend to really think that I'm the greatest person in the world, that just did, you know, their approval means the world to me. So I just want to look good, whatever it is. For the organizer, what was the biggest challenge or biggest frustration? You know, getting whatever it was. Was it you know, liaising with the venue, the price point? Was it whatever it is? Okay, and then moving on from there.
So those are the pain points. What you just went through: liaising with the venue, the price point, and her desire to show her friend a great time.
A great question is always, what's the single biggest challenge you faced? What's the single biggest problem you've had in the past with a trip? Right. What's the single greatest desire you have for your next holiday?
I mean, just for my clarification, just to like examples that I'm just thinking of as we're talking, is that you know, on the FIT side, on the, you know, like my ideal customers are, you know, middle-aged couples, older people, and families, right?
Yeah.
And for a family, for parents, a pain point is we want to take an architecture tour of New York. We want to see things, blah, blah, blah. What about the kids? And my painkiller for that is I'll entertain your kids.
Yep.
You know, I can do things that you're going to be interested in, and I'll entertain your kids. And for the tour operators that I work with as a receptive in New York, it's there. I think the pain point is like, you know, I need a reliable source for guides to step on my group's buses. And so I've got to, you know, and I think I have the resources to assure them that they're going to get really good guides for me and not crackheads, and, you know, and they're going to
probably wouldn't use that in your marketing, but I understand.
Yeah, not crackheads, right?
Yeah. But also like Matthew, okay, you're some part of the way there, but that doesn't make me say, wow, that sounds amazing. You know, I'll be like, yeah, that's what everyone says. How are you going to entertain the kids? Okay. What have you done in the past that hasn't worked? You understand? So how are you different? Yeah, so you're asking these people, tell me about a trip that just sucked or just didn't work or the kids didn't enjoy. You know, why didn't it? Shine a spotlight on that. What's your single greatest desire for this trip? Well, we went to Texas, and, you know, the kids were just bored. It was hot. They were sweaty. Like, there's nothing for them to do. We had this guide, or we went with this company who said there was child friendly, but it was just so not child friendly. They were bored. You're like, okay, great. Clocking all this stuff. So what are you going to do that is just going to just blow them away? All right. So if you can nail that, if that is the single greatest pain point that they have, you know what I mean? That's when, that's when you're going to separate yourself from the rest by not zeroing in on what the experience is going to be for the adults. Okay. And you're getting there, you're halfway there. So if you're asking them about those, this is your single greatest desire, your single biggest challenge, the single greatest problem, single biggest frustration. Okay. Those kind of questions. And if you ask it like that, people are like, you know what? Because if you just ask for more general, like, tell me stuff that didn't work, like, oh, that and that and that and that, you know, but if you actually get them to think about it, well, you're not asking for all the things. What's the one thing? And if you can cut through all the noise and you can zero in on the one thing, I think you'll have a lot more success. Okay. The other place you'll find those, Matthew, that lesson I told you about, that SLM is like a more advanced and sort of condensed version of some resources that I had in my local market recovery training. And I just want to quickly show you that. Where is it?
I have watched SLM.
Okay. So run through this again, the research phase. Okay. Yeah. And maybe talk next week. If there's any, I think some pennies will drop, and I think it'll make you understand what, you know, the way you can do this most effectively. But yeah, you know, I think that a lot of those answers will come to you just from those resources, and then maybe come back here next week and you can ask me more specific questions based on what you've learned there that you're not clear about, or ways that you could actually implement the stuff you've learned into what you're doing.
All right.
How does that sound? There's other ways as well. Like it's a bigger conversation. It's about, and I'm trying to think, you know what, I'll try and tackle this really quickly now, because this is actually relevant to a lot of the other questions and a lot of things that people are doing right now. Steve's got questions. Sorry, Steve mentions here, one question, if we have extra time today, what are your thoughts about creating one tour product that is really repeatable versus custom product? Let me think about that for a second. I have to digest that for a second. Maybe this will have, I'll tell you a story. Okay. So when I started my business back in 2007, all right, I created, I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to try and do this quickly, but I think you'll find it useful. Okay. Where am I? Okay. So I'm going to go down here to writing copy. This is something, writing copy for local businesses versus international. Okay. So sample experiences menu for international markets. All right. So these are my tour descriptions. These are the tour descriptions. Now you've seen one version of this, you haven't seen this version. I don't think that we've looked at on this call. So you know what, I'll download it. We'll get a better look at it. Okay. So when I launched my business back in 2007, I was a young guy. had a van. I was, university private school educated. I thought I was articulate. I was a good guide. I had my finger on the pulse. I thought I'd deliver a really great tour. So I created a range of tours showcasing my city. I call them my luxurious day tours, all inclusive around Melbourne and surrounding regions, meals in the best restaurants, premium viewing options, blah, blah, blah. So I created Melbourne City Sites Tour. All right. A Yarra Valley wine tour. It's a wine region. A Dandenong Ranges, like wildlife. There was like an old steam train, really great sort of great region, fun to tour in. A wildlife experience. We've got the largest colony of little penguins or fairy penguins down there in Victoria. Another wine tour, Mornington Peninsula wine tour. A coastal drive, one of the great coastal drives on the planet. Okay, so that's what I did, right? I created those tours. Are you guys seeing anything like wow, unique, different, something you haven't seen before? Because you're not. People have done city tours, wine tours, coastal tours. I naively thought that my unique selling point, my point of difference would be my level of service, how articulate I was, my ability to make people feel comfortable. I thought I would be the point of difference, and how wrong I was. I learned after probably a couple of years that I wasn't getting the traction I wanted, and because I had nothing unique, nothing different, nothing special, nothing that I had put out there into the market. So anyway, what I did is I created another range of products, another range of tours that raised the bar, one-off travel experiences, immersive, exclusive, meet the faces behind the places, and like nothing else that was being offered. So Melbourne After Dark, I'll just run through some of an essential Melbourne experience, which had like a bike riding component, hidden laneways and arcades, a day with a Melbourne foodie, so a renowned local foodie, like Melbourne foodie, the Food Lovers Melbourne Walk, Food Art and Laneways Walk, all these things, a drive-fly version of the Great Ocean Road, the ultimate Great Ocean Road, which is anyway, so this stuff wasn't being done. I partnered with a ranger, like an actual Phillip Island Nature Parks ranger, to give access to an island, behind the scenes, access to places that the general public couldn't go. And this was a tour that was exclusive to us. Okay, so then I really started, the flywheel started to spin, and my business started to grow really, really quickly. Because no one else was doing this stuff, and I'd found my unique selling points, my unique point of difference, and a lot of it started with the research I was doing with my customers. Okay, on a really simplistic level, I would spend a lot of time talking to people on my tours. So about the one topic that everyone loves to talk about when they're on tour, travel experiences. Tell me about some of the greatest things you've done. Oh, we did this balloon ride in Namibia, or oh, we had this chef that we did this blah, blah, blah. So I was gathering all this information. What's the greatest thing, the greatest travel moment you've ever had? And people thought that I was training my tour guides to have these conversations, and I was incentivizing them to feed this back to me consistently. And I was gathering all this information about what people really wanted. And then at the end of it, I was asking my guides, be honest with me. What would, have you had a great time today? Oh, look, we've had an amazing time. Give it to me. What would elevate this to one of those world-class, best ever travel moments you've ever had? Oh no, it's fine as it is. No, come on, give it to me. Really think about, what do you think could, you know what I mean? And that's, if you're constantly curious, if you're constantly asking, if you've constantly got thick skin, people are scared to ask. They're like, I don't want to know. I just, oh, you said it was good. Great. That's good enough for me. Dig deeper, scratch the surface. No, be honest with me. I've got thick skin. I'm on a mission to make this the world's greatest travel business, or, the one of the elite tours on the planet. What is it? I'd love to know. I'd really, really love to know. And then I'd follow up with them. I know we had that conversation. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I had such a lovely time with you, but I'm so curious. Has anything come to mind? Like, what do you think of all those things you did would have taken that a level above a level? So I guess, Matthew, be curious, okay? Be willing to dig a little deeper, scratch the surface, and not be satisfied with that first response. And you can train your tour guides to do the same, all right? And it goes back to staffing, and it goes back to the way you select your people. Okay. Because with my tour guides, I was massive on, and it went into like a structured recruitment process. Your job is not only to deliver a great tour. Okay. That's a really important part, but you have so many other responsibilities. You are part of this organization, and we're on a mission to make this organization the greatest one in this destination. So I require these things of you. I require you to adhere to systems and processes, collect receipts from suppliers, ask the right questions, all these little bits and pieces that add up to a seamless service. But I also need you to engage with our customer, and I need you to dig deeper. I need you to be curious. Here's a way that it's effective, that doesn't make it feel like that you're doing a market research exercise. Okay. It's just a general conversation. Tell me, I love talking travel. What are some of those things you've done? And so they were required by me to consistently continue to gather these. And I would ask them, have you had those? I can't remember the exact, well, I probably could if I actually gave some thought to it, but you guys could figure out your own system as well. Okay. How do you get that kind of information from your customers? All right. Any questions on that? No. Okay, cool.
The one thing that just worries me a little bit about that, I know the people I use as guides, obviously they have to be really sharp, really smart, they're bright, they're ambitious. And so if I train them and encourage them to start doing that, they're going to take it and like, why am I doing this for Matthew? Why am I doing this for City Walk New York and not for myself?
You're thinking too small, mate. I'm sorry to tell you.
Okay.
That's inconvenient. All right. You are going to have those problems no matter what level you get to. Chris, you're running a 7-figure business. You're going to have those problems. You can put every system in place and every procedure in place. Okay. It starts with the expectations of your guides. The fact that they're representing you, they're living and breathing your company values, your brand promises. They're signing an agreement to confirm that they're aware of that. They agree. So when all those materials are in the program, we've covered them, your training agreements, you're getting staff that are representing you, Matthew, and your business. They're not representing themselves. So you're going to put those procedures in place to ensure that's not going to happen. Okay. But it's going to happen. All right. As you grow, the likelihood that people are going to let you down, they're going to fall outside the parameters that you've set for them. All right. And they're going to start being under, the more people you allow into your sphere, into your organization, the greater the chances of you getting let down by people who don't honor the commitments they've made to you. All right. Just suck it up, cop it on the chin. It's going to happen. You can put the processes in place to avoid it as much as possible, but it's going to happen. Okay. So think bigger. Don't worry about those underhanded people that are going to be disingenuous and let you down. Okay. You're going to focus on the bigger picture, which is improving the systems, improving the processes, bringing on more people, driving the requisite sales to create the environment that's going to create more loyalty to you. That's the stuff that you should be focusing on. All right. Rather than worrying about, but that mentality is a small game mentality. Okay. And I know it's important, but I think if we get bogged down talking about like those kind of things, which you can do so much to avoid that by the culture, the environment, the commitments that you put in place, but it's going to happen from time to time. And even, at the pinnacle, like when we were doing, multi 7 figures, when I had a great, structure and team, and we were just close to selling our business, everything was dialed in, running beautifully. I would still have reports back. Hey, the guy that they've been working for you for 4 years, he's just, unbeknownst, he's gone out and he started his own business and he's just been handing out business cards. That's a shame. That's unfortunate. Live with it, suck it up, get thick skin, improve the process, move on and focus on the stuff that's really important, because that's inconvenient, but it's not, it's not the sort of thing. If you're going to get, stuck there, then you're probably focusing more on the wrong things. That make sense? I understand why it's important when you're growing though. and it is frustrating. Cool. All right. So, Diane, that's, probably leads into something that you asked me earlier today. And that is, and I will just read, that was via a message. You said you got a question. You've got a tour guide that complained about the size of the group. Okay. So I said, ask me for more information. I asked for more information. You got a limit of 15 people. You oversold 3 additional spots. She complained that there were too many. After the tour, she said she felt she bombed with the performance. The next tour, she was excellent. Okay. Is there anything you want to add there, or would you like me to give you my thoughts on that?
No, the only thing that I can add is that she is not giving as many dates for her schedule for next month. So I'm suspect.
Yep. Someone just wrote here, Chris, hire more new guides, let the cream rise to the top. Bad guides will show themselves the door, set high standards, watch the winners elevate everyone else around them. That's exactly right, mate. And Diane, that's exactly where you're at right now. So you may have a guide that's got a short shelf life in your business, all right? Because what you want, and I learned some painful lessons, frustrating lessons over the journey. Having experienced, competent, elite tour guides is the second most important thing. Having great company people that can be molded, trained, have got the right character traits, the right personal qualities, a can-do attitude, empathy, a willingness to do what's best for your organization at the expense sometimes of what's best for them in that immediate moment. They are the people you want in your business, okay? The other sort of people you want to slowly start, getting them out the door, okay? So this particular person, first of all, awesome problem to have, Diane. Well done, overselling your trips by 3. Pretty happy about that?
Yes, I was very happy about that. I was dancing around the house.
Yeah. One question, did this tour guide say, well, first of all, Diane, awesome job overselling your tour by 3. I'm so glad the company's doing so well.
No.
Okay. So my hunch is that, there's a conversation probably that needs to take place. Basically, you could very delicately say, first of all, they're the people you want in your business. Okay. Empathy, understanding, willingness to step outside their comfort zone, can-do attitude, a willingness to show you they can shoulder responsibility without dumping it back on you all the time. So you can be that company director. Okay. So those are the things that's the first level of discussion. All right. You can say, look, I really care about my people. And I don't like you to be put in a position where you're uncomfortable. You don't feel like you can do your best job. What you need to understand is that I'm constantly making decisions for the betterment of this organization. Okay. So sometimes the decisions I make may not be the best decisions for you personally in that moment, but I'm always trying to make decisions for the better. So there are other things that you need to take into account. Am I letting down certain customers, or are there implications or repercussions? Obviously you don't want to be doing that time after time with your staff, overselling trips and making it more challenging for them to do their job. Okay. But
right.
Alarm bells ring if you are putting someone in a mildly uncomfortable position for the first time and they're coming back and complaining about their ability to do their job. So, right. So that's, I would put that to them and see what the response is. You'd be like, look, I understand it. I get it. I'm an empathetic person and I want my people to be happy because a happy Diane stems from happy people running her experiences. Okay. But sometimes I'm going to ask things of you that are going to be a little challenging for you. That's the reality. And when I do, I need you to be able to step up, embrace them, and deliver with a can-do attitude. Okay. We can talk about it afterwards and we can talk about how we can improve the process and systems, because I'm all about that. But what I need you to be able to do is step up and relish the opportunity to step up and just make it happen.
Right.
if you're not that person, then that's kind of not the person I want in my organization.
Yeah, I'm going to have a conversation with her, and I'm actually looking for other tour guides to take her place.
Yeah.
Because it's just very frustrating. It's just 3 people, and you should not throw off your game any day to have 3 extra people. You should be getting that 5-star review every single time.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes, like, I've seen people change. Okay. So give everyone an opportunity. Just say, look, here's my perspective on this. Okay. Here's how I see it. All right. So what do you think about that? Like, oh, you know what? I actually never thought about it that way, Diane. You know what? You're absolutely right. And I think there's a few things that I need to change about myself, and I need to be more flexible, willing to adapt. And you're absolutely right, Diane. So let's go again. All right. You might find that that's the response. Okay.
I hope
but if you don't any response other than that, you get them out of your business in the most, in the most compassionate, way. But yeah, they're not the kind of people that you want to be growing with you.
Right. Yeah. I think she wants to stick with virtual tours. I don't think she wants to do museum tours.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's what she'll do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But bear in mind, the number one thing you're looking for in tour guides or people that host events or multi-days or things like that. And Kelly, again, how important is it for you having a people person who can front up? They can say, Kelly, you're on the other side of the world. I've got this. Okay. You don't need to worry. I'm resourceful. I've got a can-do attitude. I'll adapt. I'll roll with the punches. Okay. Things are not going to go according to plan, but we will roll with it. And, they're the people you want in your organization. You don't want that people running the trip to Egypt who is like dialed in on Egyptian history over the last 5,000 years, but can't take a curveball and is going to bitch and moan on the phone to you for an hour because something didn't go according to plan, even though their commentary and their knowledge of the region and food might be impeccable. You just can't have that kind of person representing you, so.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So I was thinking, there was something I wanted to mention. This is another thought I had. And Mel, where are you? Mel, you're on the call, aren't you? Yeah, how are you going? This applies to a lot of you guys, but Mel, you're right now in an up-leveling process. And Matthew, this is valuable to you as well, and a few of you others who have kind of the penny's been dropping lately. You're like, you know what? I need to set myself apart. I need to differentiate myself. I need more unique features that are going to command higher price points. They're going to get people talking about me. That, a lot of you are in that place at the moment. And one other thing that I did is, and a lot of you guys can do as well. How good are the relationships you've got with your tourism associations? Because a lot of you, there's a lot of resources out there. One of the other things that I did when I was developing new experiences is that so I showed you the collection of unforgettable journeys. Well, one of the ways that I developed those experiences was through customer research, digging into my past, current customers and identifying those things that were going to elevate me. But then I also relied on a lot of research from my tourism association, and a lot of you you would all have really good governing bodies. Some may not. We had Tourism Australia, then we had Visit Victoria, which had some amazing resources, and then we had regional tourism associations. And I tried to align a lot of my new experiences with things that Tourism Australia were doing. So if they were running campaigns, like let's say back in 2000 2009, Tourism Australia was all about food and wine experiences. You know, it wasn't indigenous, there wasn't wildlife and nature or coastal and things. Their focus at that time was food and wine. So I tried to align a lot of my new experiences with food and wine experiences. So there's a lot of value here. Anyone in the world can learn about markets. So I just want to show you with Tourism Australia, for example, you can go into their corporate site and you can go down to market and stats, and then you can go down to marketing and regions. And if you want to learn about, like, let's say your most represented type of customer is, for me, it was American, like the high-end American market. And some of you might serve this market either within your own destination, the US, or you might be running tours and activities in other destinations that serve American customers. So a lot of you within your tourism associations would have access to these kind of, really interesting market reports and stats. So I could go in here, I could click on the US, for example, and I could come down here and then I could learn all about, well, first market performance. I could come down here and learn about the profile of the American visitor, okay? And then I could learn a whole bunch of really interesting information. And this is relevant to Australia, but it also applies to Americans traveling anywhere on the planet, and you're going to find some really interesting information about their motivations to travel. You can find this about any international market on the planet, okay? You could do destination of choice, like the things they actually want to do in destination. So I guess my point is you could use the kind of research and the marketing and the stats and the specific international market reports that your tourism association has done all the research for you. Okay, so you can create experiences based on the research. And again, if you went to like Visit California, or I was looking at Visit Iceland. I've got a guy, Valor, who enrolled last week. He's in Iceland. He serves the US market. Like 80% of his business is high-end, like American customers. So Visit Iceland's got some great resources, but he could also use the same resources from the Australian corporate Visit Australia site that has all the consumer trends and insights and desires and the problems they want solved and all those things that could help you actually create experiences that are right in line with that market. So my point is, you can do customer research, but you could also rely on your local tourism associations that have got the bandwidth. They've done the research for you, okay? And you can leverage a lot of that information to gear your experiences to specific international markets, okay? So mine was a particularly good one. A lot of you would also have really, really great ones. And I get feedback a lot from people who say, yeah, look, my tourism association, they're not that helpful. There's some deadbeats over there. Like they asked me for investments to, give me access to stuff that can help me. Well, two things. One is that there's a lot of other tourism associations that have done research that you can actually use. So like Tourism Australia, jump on their corporate website. You'll learn amazing information, like gold mines of information about customers that you never even knew. And they've done all that research for you. The second is that I would always be trying to build relationships with your tourism associations and really push hard at them, because it's the bottom line is that a tourism economy is better quality tours and activities and experiences. Like it converts directly into a more robust tourism economy. So they have a responsibility to help you be a better version of yourself. Okay. So if you're getting like roadblocks, then, think of like being more robust, and you're like, I'd really like some help here because, the way I see it, like your role is to help me improve my business so I can help you indirectly or directly. Do you know what I mean? So the kind of people that you'd want to tap into in your local tourism association would be like market coordinators. There'll be people that are responsible for developing business from certain international markets. There would be a product development team, people that could actually help you specifically develop your tours and experiences to suit international markets. There'd be a familiarizations unit, people that are responsible for bringing international travel agents or international media into the country to sample what your destination has to offer, that you could partner with them. So there's lots of different types of people in those organizations. So I would really push hard and make it, yeah, like just go at it with the mindset that their responsibility is to help me, okay? Because if they help me, I will help them back, all right? Any thoughts or comments on that?
It resonates a lot because as you say, the local tourism board isn't that particularly convenient because they are not doing their homework, and all the statistics and demographics of tourism in Mazatlan is basically paid for by the local big hotel owners, and any non-part of the boy club is not getting that information. So then we have the national tourism association or ministry, and they do have what you say department that does innovation. And we were in touch, and I hadn't really thought about contacting them, but what you're saying here makes a lot of sense. And they even have like different categories like food. The food travelers, elderly, LGBTQ, so all this, you know, special niche markets. Yeah, sounds good.
There's so many levels of support you can get from them. There's you know, some at the best financial support, but there's research. You know, if you can just get access to their research, that would be amazing. I mean,
absolutely.
I'll try and share something really quickly with you as well, just to give you another insight. Okay, right. So this is from 2000, and this is even from, and a lot of you you'd be surprised by what has already been done. You know, that you could ask for, the research that's been collated. So this is actually from, this is from 2013, all right? But it's, you know, most of it will be really, really relevant. This is something created by my state tourism association. This is called the Victorian International Exchange, okay? VI. So this is not even like national, this is just Victorian. And they created a market overview for every single international market on the planet. This is the United States one. There's like 30 others, every single country that played an important role in inbound tourism. So they created this every single year for us. So major markets out of the US, the economy financial overview, tourism market, the tourism overview, tourism outlook, fast facts, you know, when they like to travel, the working within like the major consumer shows, peak travel periods, best time for sales calls, industry infrastructure, like the actual distribution channel, how to work best with wholesalers, like on and on, market briefs, like what people were doing, destinations they were traveling to, main reason for trip, air access, blah, 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 blah. And then all the way back down, even, you know, a SWOT analysis, marketing opportunities, and all the way down. So I'm going to share this with you because I think you'd find it really interesting. Key industry contacts, government, airline contacts, and then all of the key players, the company overview, the key points of contact, all the people in the US that sold Australia as a destination. And they would just give us this every year. Okay. Like 20 or 30 of these reports. So we got a great level of support. All right. I'll share that with you. And you know why I'll share it with you? Because there's some really interesting information about the American market. I've got a few others there I could share. But also, when let's say, for example, you're talking to the marketing team in your local tourism association, you're like, you know, what I'd love is some research that I can help to develop products and I can help with my marketing. You're like, you know, what do you mean? Like, well, guys, take a look at this. This is what a little state of Victoria in Australia provided to their operators on an annual basis. Like, what have you got for me? You know? So I'll put that in the group. I think it'll be interesting for you. Any thoughts, comments there? No, cool. Hey Nick, I had a kind of a question, thought, topic of conversation from you up there in Alaska. Just pretty exciting corner of the world. How's things, mate? I just dropped my pen.
Yeah, good. We're actually getting rained on right now, which is kind of weird for this time of year. But yeah, good to chat with everybody here, and thanks for the time. I guess my question was how to get out of the, I guess as an entrepreneur, I think part of my thing is I love to take on projects, and I see something and I want to do it. And I take things on my plate, and getting out of kind of that workaholic mindset, knowing where my limits are, right? Because I do like to drive things pretty hard. You know, I like to get the thing going. I like to see the problem, and I like to solve it and make it happen, right? And go from 0 to 60, and then look for the next thing, and then the next thing. And so kind of stepping back and just really working on what we have. And you know, so yeah, taking a step back from that workaholic kind of mindset, I guess.
Yeah. And you're stretched pretty thin at the moment, aren't you? You're on a few boards, and you got a few things going on, and obviously you've got a really fast growing business. You know, you've had up there in Alaska a breakout year. You know, what were you up revenue wise? It was like something crazy in 20...
like 300%. It was wild this year. Yeah, it was busiest. I mean, Alaska across the board, busiest summer anybody up here has ever had, but it just never stopped. And yeah, we're kind of seeing. I think we're seeing it for next year already too. So and yeah, the boards, all that, Josh, is exactly, it's that workaholic thing. You know, why not? I see something else that I can help and improve on, and so I take it on, right? Yeah.
You know, everyone's unique. For me, like, I'm entrepreneurial. We all are. You know, you've all invested. You know, anyone who's come in here who's dropped money to be in this program to get some great results, and are willing to invest in themselves, of like ambitious. They want better things for life and for business, and you're highly entrepreneurial. But everyone's got different motivations and their lifestyle. I'm just, you know, I don't have an answer to this, Nick. I'll just tell you the way I see it. And, you know, other people out there, because none of you are any less entrepreneurial than me. So you're very different. You're very similar and very different to me, in the sense that I don't know, like, you might disagree. Like, just from gathering like the conversations that we've had, I was always about, and I've got a big family. I've got 4 kids now. I like to spend time with them. I like to travel. I like to go surfing. I like to, to live life. And I reckon probably from about 5 years into my 10 years in business, every decision I made was geared towards how can I enjoy more of the things in life that I love, and do less of the sitting in an office or running my business. That were my motivations. I wanted to squeeze but you like to tackle. So for me, it was all about freedom, time to get out of work environment, to enjoy myself, to travel, to have adventures, to spend time with my kids and family and friends. You like to be involved in projects. I'm sure you love to spend time with your family and friends as well, but you know, you like to fill your time with other projects. Is that right? That are business related. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I guess, you know, well, we're pretty remote up here. We're 310 miles from Anchorage. And as far as Alaska goes, we're not that remote. We're on the road system. But being 310 miles from Anchorage, we're in the middle, you know, largest national park here in the nation. We're out here. And so everything's a project, right? How do we get our trash to town? So how do I create something where when we got to take our trash, I could gather trash so other people pay for our fuel, and right, you know, and how do we minimize our fuel? Like every little thing is partly why I love living here, right? Because everything's a project, right? The system, you create a system, and then you figure out how to monetize it, so you're not essentially blowing money out the back door, right?
So what I would be doing is taking a step back right now. You're out of peak season, and I would be fleshing out with some time, some clarity, stepping outside and getting like so crystal clear on what you want your life to look like in 2, 3, or 5 years from now. Okay, what you want your business to look like, what kind of projects specifically that you want to be involved in, what you want to be doing with your time outside of work, and just creating that vision of exactly what your life, because it's so intertwined, but work and life. Okay, so that might be running an organization or playing a role in the board of, because you're so passionate about it, you love your community. It might be the role you're playing in your business. How many hours do you want to be spending in your business? Who do you want to be working underneath you, actually running your business? How much time do you want to be spending on strategy and like playing that role of company director, whatever it is, but like fleshing out in granular detail what you want to be spending your time on and how you want to be living your life in 3 or 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. Give yourself that time frame, and what projects or responsibilities are built into that. And because there might be stuff you're involved in right now where you're like, I see no future in this, and I don't want to be doing this. I'm just doing it because I feel bad, or I'm just doing it because my friend asked me to do it, or I just, this is frankly a pain in the ass, and it's a waste of my time, but I said yes. And you know what I mean? So what are those things? Like, it's taking a step back and you're like, how do you want your life to look? Not just on a surface level, but like at a deep, deep, intimate level. That's the way I'll be doing it. And then you start saying no. Okay. Because that is like, saying no is harder than saying yes, especially as your star rises, as you begin to have, more and more success, as your impact on other people grows, more opportunities come, opportunities that you're already taking part in increase. People ask more of you. People rely more on you. All right. So that's the way I'll be doing it. Getting brutal with your time and getting really comfortable saying no, and just saying, look, that's outside of my sphere. Okay. That's outside of the 5-year plan. That's outside. And I don't have time for anything that's not in that 5-year plan. And then start organizing your time. And I'm a big fan of just time blocking. Once you get clear on all the things that you want in your life that are forming a part of that 3-year or 5-year plan or vision that you've committed to, like you don't have scope. You're not out there searching for new projects. You're not out there, or maybe you are. Like, maybe that's something that lights you up. I don't know, but it probably going to take a little time to flesh it out. But the details got to be granular as to what you want your life to look like in 3 years or 5 years or whatever that time frame is, and then just starting to say no. Does that make sense? How's that feel? Like, does that feel like achievable, or does that just like not align with where you're at and who you are? Or
no, that makes perfect sense. And the 3 to 5 year thing is an achievable goal. It's a setting it up now, and then just simply focusing on the projects that I got on my plate, and
it's not small. Like, even, I've got to a point now where I feel really comfortable never responding to an email, never replying to a message, because it's outside of that sphere, for want of a better word, So having that, getting comfortable with saying no takes, like, it can be really hard, Yeah. Hope that helps. Is anyone else in that sort of position? Anyone else got some kind of thoughts or feelings on that?
I mean, the last business that I had was it wasn't tourism business, but it was just so many people contacting me about everything. And I remember that kind of epiphany moment when I was like, I don't actually have to respond to this message.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow, it was so
Yeah.
liberating. I mean, that's all I
Yeah.
have for that. But.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And I've got so comfortable with that. Like I don't have to explain myself. I have this mentality. I never asked for that. Okay. And that's the way I live my life. If someone that I don't have the bandwidth to engage with or to answer I never asked for it. And unfortunately, I have other responsibilities, other people who rely on me, and I don't have time to spend on that. I'm getting really comfortable doing that. Doesn't come easy. Anyone else while we're on the, Steve, you had something, let's see. I can't remember what it was, but where are we? Each tourism body. Josh, yeah, a few good comments here. Josh says each tourism body has key pillars. If you can align to them, you really leverage the relationship, tap into their marketing and PR for free. I think that's probably a more articulate way of what I was getting at as well. Yeah, if you align yourself and let them know that you're aligning yourself with them. Okay, don't be shy. Don't be a stranger. Then you'll be surprised by the level of support. So Kelly said the biggest thing I look for in guides is selflessness. Can you put the guest before yourself? Exactly right. You find to be the last to eat. 100%. That's really, really true. Matthew, where was that? Just tell me what it was, Steve, and we'll see if we can tackle it.
Yeah. So I said, what are your thoughts about creating one tour product that is really repeatable, like a publicly available tour, versus custom products? So like I did some research on your tours, or at least what is left of your company, or what your company is now, I guess is a better way of saying that, for Melbourne private tours. And like there were no prices listed. It was all inquiry based. That seems really hard for me, and it doesn't seem scalable. So it seems like the opposite of like what this program is. So to me, and so I guess I'd love to hear your thoughts about like scalable and customizable, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like scalable to me means like scalable and repeatable, which means you create a product and then you do it over and over again, you market it. The customizable part that's what I really struggle with and kind of hate in my business. And maybe that means I need to like hire other people to do that really like event planners and stuff like that. But that's the stuff that's hard for me. So
yeah, well, I guess there's lots of different types of businesses. So what you're saying is that you looked at the business that I ran back in 2017. You figured out that there was no prices. People couldn't just there wasn't an automated booking process. Anyone who inquired directly, that inquiry needed to be managed to convert the sale. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. So that's a good point. There's different types of businesses. So obviously, there's one type of scalable businesses where people are just booking via your system and you're just filling tours on in an automated way. Or there's a Blake or a Kelly who are selling multi-day high ticket trips where people need, like, there's touch and feel attached to every booking that you're converting. Okay. And there's a scale. All right. So I guess what I would say is this, that first of all, probably 60% of my sales were generated via traditional distribution partners, i.e. an inbound tour operator or a travel agent who had my tour descriptions loaded in their system, who had my rates, who had my terms and conditions, and who were out there selling my trips on my behalf. Okay. So probably 60% of my bookings, all we would do is simply receive a booking request. Please book and confirm trip A, B, C, D, or E. Okay.
Okay. And so with that, you had these trip A, B, and C as like products.
Yeah.
It's just you didn't have your prices on your site. Essentially, you could have put them on Viator. You could have looked at the prices.
Exactly.
You just didn't do that because you had these other distribution partners.
Exactly. So all of our distribution partners had all of our rates and product information on file. They would just send bookings on autopilot. Okay. And the booking would just be grabbed. It would just be dumped straight into our calendar. If I was running the business today, look, I built like a multi 7-figure business with no booking software, with high level business rules, with a team that we had some great systems, some great processes, and it was scalable. I've learned a lot in the last 4 years. And would I improve my systems today? Yes, I was on a mission to constantly improve. Did we try to implement booking software into our business on a couple of occasions? Yes, we did. We went through deep into demo mode with Resdi, with Zoll, and a couple of others. And at the time, a lot has evolved over the last 4 to 5 years with booking software. And at the time, we just, after weeks of trying to get it right, we figured that we didn't have the features and the functionality to allow us to run our business the way, and it wasn't broken. So we continued to do it, but we were always looking for a more efficient way of doing things. All right. So I think that would be really different now, but we were a super high price point. Okay. And a lot of our inquiries, so a lot of our bookings, let's say, for example, we took a booking from Southern Crossings. That might be, please book and confirm the Jones family for your Ultimate Great Ocean Road on this date, your Mornings Peninsula Foodies journey on this date, and your Phillip Island Ranger-led adventure on this date. Okay, so boom, total booking, total file cost might have been $9,000. Okay, all we needed to do was drop that booking into our calendar, have our operations manager put all the pieces in the piece of the puzzle in place to make sure the booking runs seamlessly, and then send back a booking confirmation. Okay. So that was a manual process, but the systems were dialed in really well. When we took inquiries, okay, the inquiries that we were getting were for bookings ranging in anywhere between one trip at $900 to 4 or 5 different tours up to, $6,000-7,000 are inquiring about. Okay. So we had some really high levels. We had some very quick processes in place that our reservations team were able to churn out tailored responses to inquiries, and they might spend somewhere between 4 and 7 minutes, and they could actually move things around and create a tailored response for a $9,000 piece of potential business and we were averaging, I would guess we would average around 6 to 8 inquiries per day. Okay. We had a conversion rate of around 30%. All right. I knew that it would take my reservations team somewhere between like 4 and 6 minutes to get that initial response out. Okay. Sometimes the process, we had different responses for different types of customers, and the first response might be 4 or 5 questions. All right. Once we got their answers back, it meant that they had passed the next stage of qualification because they'd taken time to actually come back to us with a few answers to a few questions. If they never came back, well, the first part of that process took a minute. Okay. If that was too hard for them to come back with the answers that we needed for us to actually provide a meaningful response to their inquiry, well, they weren't a lead anyway. You know what I mean? So we had our systems dialed in really, really well. Okay. And for those reasons, it was scalable. All right. Does that make sense? Please tell me if it still doesn't, if I'm, so our model was different to yours. High price point. It was a high ticket. And if you're asking a high ticket, the first thing you want to do is qualify your leads really quickly and really well. The second is you want to speed up the time that it takes you to provide a meaningful, tailored response to the inquiry. And then the third is you want a really well dialed in follow-up process that's going to increase conversion. All right.
So I think what I'm taking away is that you weren't just making this up on the fly. You had the process. You were taking pieces and parts and putting them together to make what you call the customized experience.
Yeah.
Right.
And I could set a stopwatch, and I knew how many inquiries that our reservations team were managing on a day, and I knew the time that they had allocated to those, and I knew when they, and our general manager was across that as well. So they knew, like they had every single element they needed. We had some really well dialed in systems in place that allowed us to punch those out really, really quickly. We knew what our conversion rate should be. We knew how to qualify our leads. Okay. Yeah. So all of those, yeah, I hope that kind of answers that for you. So you make a decision. Do you want to run volume that is more automated, lower price point, that you just fill your trips and you run them? If you want to go high ticket, if you want to offer a more premium experience, high price point, better margins, then those things need more touch and feel. So you just have to get your systems dialed in. They're not taking a lot of time. People are getting the right kind of tailored responses, and then your conversion is you're giving yourself the best possible chance to convert.
Got it. Okay, cool.
I'm sure that's raised some questions for you, and maybe take a bit of time to digest, because I'd like to unpack that one. It's a really good question, and you're probably going to sit back, Steve, and go, hold on, but that didn't make sense. I need to understand that more, because you're a guy who's always looking for an edge, aren't you? Like you're looking for a better way to do things.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, Josh.
Okay, cool. Guys, before we sign off, anything else I can do today to help anyone that didn't submit any questions? Anything, any problems, questions, challenges, wins? No. Awesome. All right. Great chat. Great call. Really enjoyed it as usual. And yeah, well, I'm here for you if you need me throughout the week. And if not, we'll talk again next week. A reminder, please, just maybe try and give it a little bit of thought, day out, 2 days out, pop those questions into the question form. The ones that you think would be great to tackle in a more extended way on the call, and also things that you think other people would really benefit from. But if there's anything in the meantime, short, sharp, just hit me up on Messenger and I'm here to help. Kelly, have a chat with some of those people that I mentioned, like just to get a few ideas flowing, and it starts with a chat, so cool. All right. See you guys.